Today we have with us Mr. Bharat Panchal. He is the Chief Industry Relations and Regulatory Officer at Discover Financial Service. A very warm welcome, sir, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me on this prestigious show today.
Thank you, sir. So, to begin with, COVID has changed our lives, and so did it to the industries overall. So, the COVID pandemic has accelerated the shift towards this digital payment and contactless transaction. How has financial service organizations adapted to this changing landscape, and what initiatives have been implemented to meet the increased demand for digital payment solutions?
Well, thank you, Urmi. All these views I'm going to express my personal. So let me begin with your first question. Well, the mankind or the planet was struggling with COVID during the unforeseen pandemic era.
Right.
Yes, it was very bad time for everybody, but at the same time for digital payment and adoption of technology in our life, it was like a blessing period because whether people who wanted to be as part of this digital bandwagon or those who kept themselves away from the digital churning, they all joined together. In India especially, I believe that was a second big opportunity for digital payment to expand post demonetization, because first was demonetization where people forced to go from cash to cashless, and pandemic has really helped. Now, as far as adoption of digital payment or digital technology is concerned in day-to-day life, I think India has really blessed with a very sophisticated, advanced payment infrastructure which built in last one decade, thanks to the government, Reserve Bank of India and NPCI, where every small, big, large bank were interconnected and the digital rail was already created. India is a country of scale of economy. So whatever we do, it starts with billion and billions only. And therefore, the available infrastructure was well crafted at the beginning of the digital journey, I would say, in this, right from 2011 onwards. So people have adopted that. Banks were already, in the journey to get more and more people in financial inclusion already. They all were, transformed from financial inclusion to digital inclusion. And that is what has helped to expand or, exponential growth, what we see today, thanks to the pandemic, I would say.
I would definitely agree. What pandemic has, been a blessing in disguise in terms of, the shift that we have seen and the acceptance in terms of digital payment, which would have taken a longer term to accept for the mass in large about the cashless, India or the cashless environment. Digital payment, COVID has just, turned around, and we could really accept digital payments in such a fast pace, if you agree with me on that.
Naturally, definitely.
Okay, so coming to the other part, with this cashless transactions, the security in terms of our passwords or the PIN codes that we are, typing, we see a lot of data breaches and privacy concerns these days, which are very prevalent, and there at the same time the scams that are happening. So, in terms of financial sector, what are the major challenges and what strategies do you employ to mitigate the risk and maintain a strong security posture?
Good question. So let me put this into part. One is the technology challenge, and how to manage security and fraud and data breach and all this, and privacy. Second comes the understanding of the technology and meaningful or kind of responsible behavior when you do a digital transaction. These are two separate part. Let me switch first on the second part. See, today what is happening in India, and that is I'm telling with a lot of responsibility, because I've seen in my previous organization at NPCI, I was heading the entire risk function for good 9 years. So I have seen so many such cases. With all my experience, I can tell you that in India, the technology, the platform, the kind of overall security in and around the digital payment system, be it at NPCI, be it at the network, be it at the bank, it is made with a lot of advanced technology, with best in control available are incorporated. But when it comes to user behavior, people are just behaving so much so irresponsibly. And I'm not saying that everybody does like this, but my analysis or my personal experience is that 70% of fraud today happening in India, it is all because of people are least bothered when it comes to any kind of pre-bid. When it is a greed, I mean, 70% of people give away their data, and data is not simple mobile number, but username, password, OTP, card number, CVV, whatever you need, they are giving to the fraudster, be it online, be it over call, or they are keep on giving one after one, one after one, one after one. And after many such transaction happen, or money is already moved out from their account, they realize, oh my god, some fraud has happened. But when it comes to initial part, the greed override on the common sense, or kind of consciousness of the person, and they fall prey. The second part is about people, those who are ignorant. They believe that, okay, if I am giving something to somebody, oh, nothing is going to happen with me, right? They post their let's say, for example, somebody has the concern with the bank, and they put, oh, my so and so card number, I transacted here, my transaction has not gone through, I am debited, and blah blah blah. They put it everything on social media. The fraudster is at the side, is just waiting, and they will call, hey, I am calling from your bank, and we just saw that you have posted this, and okay, tell us how we can help you. The guy is just taking for granted, he's ignoring the fact that why bank has called immediately. Of course, it happens many a time, but when fraudster call, you can easily distinguish between the real bank person and fraudster if you apply some common sense. But these people do not apply. They have that ego in mind that, look, the moment I call, I sent on social media, bank is just behind me. And out of that ignorance, people are thinking that this fellow is helping, but actually he's taking everything away from this guy. The third part is about people, those who are come under fear, and that includes you and me, because today someone threat you that your bank account will be suspended if you do not let's say, we are getting so many messages nowadays that, okay, update your KYC immediately, or else your bank account will be closed.
Absolutely.
Now, it is not bank which is sending those messages. It is a gang of fraudster. They are sending out of blue, and the guy think, oh, if my bank account is stopped today, naturally there's a fear. Nobody can afford, because everywhere now, thanks to UPI, we do just QR code scan or UPI transaction. So my bank account is down, then my life is down. Now, the most important part comes in life, that if someone threat that your mobile is going to be disconnected because your SIM card verification is not done, or KYC is not done, or something like that, and they take control of your SIM card or your mobile number, right? And that fear create lot of significant contribution to the fraud in terms of the data and data related fraud. So I have said many times that in India, at least the small type of frauds where people are losing money out of this kind of thing is more as a psychological problem than technical problem, because India is the country where the second factor authentication first ever we introduced. India is a country where when platform like UPI making billion of transactions, but the authentication mechanism is not one factor, two factor. It is multi-factor transaction. Every time people think that, okay, when you are doing a transaction on UPI, it is just we are putting just a few numbers and put one PIN number and transaction goes away. It is not what you see. The simplicity of UPI, more than that, complexity is there behind the scenes when one transaction is completed. So we have, I would not say we are the best, but yes, we are one among the best payment ecosystem in the world, where multiple control and multiple player level are implemented. So if people behave responsibly, naturally the fraud ratio will heavily go down. that is part on data breach. Sorry, on fraud part. Coming to the data breach and other cyber security related issue, I think that's a universal problem. And when it comes to a cyber security today, I think that's a very big concern, national security concern, or the kind of economic concern, because 70% of cyber attack worldwide happens keeping the financial gain, or kind of the motive behind that to gain money. Naturally, that's their core job. But remaining 30% are targeting to the country, targeting to the infrastructure, targeting to the institution of that country. And today, cyber is being used as espionage to deal with the enemy, deal with the people who we do not like what is going on between Ukraine and Russia today. It is the first ever war in the history of mankind where it is being fought in the physical world as well as in virtual world. It is fought in in a cyberspace also. So it has become very serious concern for the nation, for the whole economy, and there people are trying to use or kind of leverage cyberspace to disturb the country. Even India has also seen a couple of attack in recent past. One of the attack which happened on AIMS in Delhi, that is part of this kind of cyber attack. But it is not only a problem with India. It is a problem with entire world. Everybody more or less are impacted because of the vulnerable cyberspace. But that's a reality where we have to live with the fact that active defense or kind of a deterrent control are very much needed from smallest to the biggest activity pertaining to the cyber world.
I really couldn't agree more when you talked about how essential it is for us as citizens to be responsible. While payment these days are so easier for us to make, you have to be that way responsible and conscious while making such payments, while we are embracing such innovations and advancement, right? So that's completely there. And along with that, we see the security and trust are a paramount thing in the financial service sectors, particularly in terms of payments. So how are you prioritizing customer data protection and transaction security, and or else if you talk about the fraud preventions?
Well, in today's world, I believe that the security and quality are two things which you can't add at the last. It cannot be a kind of icing on the cake, right? Because it is just not for a showcase. It is just not a decoration of just to a selling point in the market that yes, we are so much secure. No, that has to be built in. It has to come as a kind of the ingredient of the product on the day one when you conceptualize, right? So when it comes to security today, the especially I would say digital security in today's time. So it's a purely based on security by design. So what five major component you may probably look at in terms of the security by design in banking, and especially digital banking, confidentiality is a paramount. When you do a transaction, end-to-end transaction, it has to be ensured that it is done with full of confidentiality. No point data is revealed or kind of identity is revealed that who is doing what transaction. The second point come to transaction non-repudiation. Non-repudiation is something where you have to ensure that it is the person who is doing that transaction and nobody else. And therefore, when it comes with like in UPI like application, your registered mobile number is linked with your account and your card number, so that make sure that it is you and nobody else is doing a transaction on behalf of you. Third, it is authentication of the identity. What you are doing, it is authenticated with your PIN number, right? That's what is one of the best possible use case I can say. Access and availability is the fourth dimension when you are making this kind of product, because that's where the security comes into picture, right? Because it should be accessible to the rightful people at right time and right place. Fourth rather fifth is privacy of customer information, because when you are doing application transaction is completed in, or your data is processed, but at the same time one need to be cognizant about the privacy of people, right? And therefore if you see that a few of the legislation which came very recent time, like data allocation by RBI, that is very clear cut mandate that you need to ensure that the sensitive payment information lies with the country. That was one of the objective of RBI, that how we can ensure the privacy of people. Now it is extended further when in the proposed data privacy bill, which is called DPDP 2023, which is coming up with huge provision in terms of privacy and related aspect, where one cannot just use data as and when available as a like a free flow for any purpose.
So, what are some of the key trends and innovations you see that is shaping the future of the financial service sector? If you could highlight those.
See, I think India has taken a lead in terms of innovation, and that's world is taking a note that yes, India is far ahead in terms of innovation, and of course, the whatever we see today, be it Rupee card or IMPS. India was the first to introduce a real-time payment system in the world in 2010 when we launched IMPS. Or today UPI is again all. There is no talk conclude anywhere in the world without referring to UPI when somebody is talking about digital banking. So that's a great use case. However, India is a country of diversity, and we have class, we have mass. So in terms of innovation, we have application like UPI for people in class, those who are tech savvy in urban and metro and all this. But we have taken care of rural part also, where the UPI 123 or star 9090 hash or AEPS, which is purely based with biometric authentication with Aadhaar. So those use cases are already existing. What India probably see in coming future, there are 2-3 things. One, while we have plethora of product, still 43% people are doing banking transaction, out of which only 26% people are doing repeat transaction. So still there is 75% of mass is either they are doing transaction once in a while or they are not at all doing. Scale, economy of scale is still missing. I mean, see, yes, we are seeing number like 10 billion, 9 billion of UPI, but that's concentrating on a segment of the society, not across the society. So that is one big focus area. I would see that in coming future, maybe in 2-3 years, that proliferation of this may go beyond urban, beyond metros, to the rural part. And India does not lack the infrastructure in today's time to do digital transaction, because the mobile connectivity, last mile connectivity, the handset or smart device now easily there with almost everybody in country. So that's the biggest thing which I foresee, the proliferation of this. The innovation part, I think CBDC is being talked a lot right now in India, and not only here but worldwide. People are talking about the digital currency. In my view, I think this CBDC would definitely will be there, but it may not be that much popular compared to what people are anticipating. The reason why, we are actually using CBDC. Your salary and my salary goes in bank account, and we are distributing using UPI or any digital channel. So India is much ahead in terms of the customer experience using such digital money. Maybe it may be worth to explore in wholesale banking, where people may use that for that purpose. But I don't think too much of what I'm not too much optimistic about CBDC future in digital payment. Could be one innovation which I believe very much necessary, that blockchain use in terms of it's not about kind of giving what you call extraordinary speed of transaction, because we are individual doing transaction in mainly in 2-3 seconds. So that's not going to make huge difference. But when it comes to the backend side, where your transaction, the moment one's account is debited and others is credited, at the same time, you are going to get the trail end to end, which currently a struggle, because then you have to go to multiple bank, multiple kind of agencies where data is lying, and then it takes time to consolidate end to end, and then you find out, okay, what are the touch point where transaction is gone. But when blockchain technology is there and distributed ledger, or if you are whatever various technology are there on the blockchain, at least one can get instant real-time feed that how the transaction is going. So in case of any attack, in case of any fraud going on, in case of any data breach, it will be very easy to cut the pipe and prevent the damage further. That is one. The second point would be largely for the benefit of the bank, that today, while I have transferred money to you and you use it, but the settlement between two banks is not real time. It takes time. It maybe happen after a few hours, or maybe late night, or next day morning. So that settlement part will happen instantly real time. So in that case, the bank's money which are held up for throughout the day, whatever number of transactions happen, that money will be settled instantly. So that is another innovation where churning of money would be a much faster using blockchain technology, and that's a future.
So, in terms of regulatory framework, we see that it plays a very crucial role in shaping the financial service landscape. So, how are financial service organizations adapting and navigating regulatory challenges while fostering innovation and driving customer-centric solutions? If you could provide some examples of how regulatory compliance and innovation can coexist.
Well, my experience says that RBI is one of the toughest regulator in the world. And when I say toughest, is with a lot of respect to them as a regulator, because what they foresight about what is coming in future, and the way they pass on to the industry, it takes time for us to decode that what RBI is saying. But when we realize, oh, that's a vision of regulator, then we our respect to RBI goes up and up. And that is what exactly they have done in last many years, probably I would say, because setting up a retail payment system for the country was envisaged by RBI in 2005. So they envisaged that how people should do a transaction, how ease, comfort, and kind of accessibility to the payment system should be made available to the fellow Indians in 2020. That was something they thought of in 2005. So when they think just not only one part, that kind of what you call the service and product and all, but the same time they come out with very stringent rules and regulation around it. I've been working very, very closely with RBI for many years. I've seen that thought process, the way they execute, the way they demand, the way they put forward the control environment and compliance framework. I think that's a phenomenon. When whole world was laughing at us in 2008, they asked, RBI mandated that second factor authentication. Every transaction has to be validated with the second factor of transaction, which is OTP. India was not that tax heavy in 2008. Whatever we are seeing is purely after 2014, when a lot of policy change happened, a lot of kind of unwanted the policy were eliminated and business are fostering. But in 2008-9, tele density was not as great as what we see today. People were not having mobile. People were not having last mile connectivity. The world laughed at us that, okay, how this is going to be successful use case when you want them to validate with the second factor authentication, but first of all, they should get a signal to receive mobile SMS. But today we have crossed all that hurdle. We have reached to a stage where we are enjoying product like UPI, but world, especially those who laughed at India, they are still as they are at the place where they were that time. They haven't progressed well compared to, and that was the regulator's vision. But coming to kind of newer and newer regulation what RBI has released in recent times. Seeing the increased trend of fraud using magnetic strip on card, they came out with the instant regulation that okay, everybody has to move to EMV with chip based card. And I'm sure many of you must have seen that earlier you had only magnetic chip. Now it is chip based transaction. It came with EM called EMV. Then it come out very recently. It is about the tokenization, where your card is tokenized, and so card number is not traveling anywhere in the ecosystem. It is just token. So even there is a data breach, it is a token will go away and not your card. So that way the security that emphasize is, I can vouch for one of the thought process of RBI, that they welcome innovation, they support innovation, but they do not support innovation at the cost of security. And that's where they are coming out with the very, as recent as last week, they have come out with a very revised, enhanced cybersecurity framework, which has to be implemented not only by the bank, it is to be implemented by all the participants of the ecosystem to make sure that our payment or digital banking ecosystem remain constantly under stringent compliance requirement, and therefore they are making security for the common man.
I mean, very rightly put forward. RBI is, the framework that RBI sets is one of the strongest, and the way they think or the advancement is way ahead for the economy to grow.
Very true.
Yeah. So coming to the other part, like in terms of tech focus areas or tech priorities over the next 3 to 5 years, if you could just let us know what are those priorities that are going to come up.
So I told you one is definitely the blockchain, like ease of settlement and making sure that we have a traceability upward downward of all the transaction and all. But I think one important area is use of AI ML in your banking sector today. Well, the chatbot and all kind of interactive tools we have seen in past for the customer interaction. Fraud, security are major area where AI ML has to be deployed, because today the ecosystem is interoperable. And when you are, what I mean by interoperable, that when you are you are doing a transaction in one bank, and one bank is impacted because of data breach, possibility of that proliferation on other bank is too high. Now, if the AI ML is there, at least that that can give a predictability about the trend, looking at the spike of transactions, looking at the behavior pattern of number of transactions, and there is a huge potential of adaptive learning during the flight of transaction itself. So that can help to predict the probability of genuinity or fraudulent transaction then and that itself going before it is approved by the bank. So that is fraud is one part, where fraud risk management is one part where I see a lot of technology innovation likely to come. Second come from the security point, because the cyber security is something so much so dynamic, where in today's time almost nearly about 1 million new virus, Trojan, kind of malware born every day in the cyberspace. Nobody is capable to identify each and every newborn baby and create a vaccination and try to prevent. So active defense has become necessity for anybody who is running with the technology, and that active defense will need a lot of innovation, a lot of advancement to the way they look at the behavior, they look at the traffic, they look at the packets coming inside the network or data going outside of the network. So that is something very, very important thing. And today cyber security has reached to a stage where intelligence, threat intelligence and intelligence sharing has become a necessity, because you can't work in isolation in today's time, right? And the cyberspace is integrated space. And as I said that, it's so easy for anybody to sitting outside of India, or it is borderless crime, where they are they're always one or two step ahead of us. Probably, if we can't overtake them, at least we have to come to at a power to fraudster or hackers, to make sure that the moment they try to attack something, we should be in position to detect and prevent them. And that part. The other part is, in terms of focus area, would be privacy, because uh, there are two new act coming in India, which is data protection (DPDP), and there is a new proposed law called DIA, Digital India Act 2023. These two act predominantly going to work with technology, because your privacy and digital both are synonymous in terms of the use of technology. So therefore, these two act will require a lot of compliance requirement, lot of rejigging into the compliance framework. It may require a new innovation, because today privacy is a myth in India, because when I have given my mobile number is there with somebody, or my data is with somebody. God knows what they are doing, from where they are getting my number, and trying to misuse it. But the proposed DPDP has a consent manager, so I have a right to recall. Now, all these things are a little complex, and the way we are having so much of digital kind of proliferation, or the way it is inculcated in our life, naturally that will require a lot of innovative way to come, because laws, and especially the newer laws, DPDP or DIA, are not that you can relax, enjoy, and over a period of 2, 3, 4 years you will comply. No, it is not going to be there. The government is very, very clear. They are very focused about the privacy and the security concern of common citizens, and therefore, both the proposed law are very, very stringent. The same time, there will be stringent timeline to comply with, and if you do not, then there is already a provision of a heavy penalty. It can impact to your global reputation as well. So naturally, the focus area, or kind of one can say about coming time, we see a lot of innovation and investment will go into compliance framework for especially these two act.
So yeah, we are going to see a lot of innovations, especially in the field of cyberspace, integrated with technology in these days to come. So, in your opinion, sir, what is your technology outlook for the financial service industry over the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, I think it's a time of I would not say it is a time of revisiting the product or services what we are having today. But somewhere I feel a lot of overlapping is going on in terms of market. So I think there is one possibility where consolidation of various product may happen, because now people are using some product in so let's say QR based transaction is become very, very easy. So maybe it may make other product redundant. That is one. The second, probably, the outlook, what I foresee from the technology perspective, quantum computing would be a massive use case in coming time, because look, we are having two set of banks today: the new age bank and old age bank. Old age bank, like PSU bank, they have a huge legacy of technology. But at the same time, they have a huge customer base also. They can't replace. It's not like you replace your laptop overnight and switch to a new laptop tomorrow. It is not that easy for them. So I think there's a gradual move from the legacy technology to the new set of technology that will happen, because sometimes it looks like banks are in competition with the IT company, because bank bank having so much so technology centric and the kind of resources in terms of people, process, and technology, the way they have deployed resources as good as one tech companies there. So naturally they need to focus on technology. And tomorrow there would be a day where banking will be there, but bank may not be there, right? Because everything is going in virtual world. So a lot of technology related changes are expected in terms of our country. I mean, the way I foresee, it is now time for economy of scale, where I earlier, as I told you, that it has not yet gone to the mass. Imagine that by 2030, every Indian start making at least 3-4 transactions. Then it will be 5-6 billion a day, which we are talking one in a month. So that will require huge infrastructure, that will require huge computing power. But the same time, to protect the billion of transactions, that will require huge amount of technology to prevent any kind of misuse, be it cyber attack or be it fraudulent transactions in the ecosystem. So therefore, that's the technology outlook. Probably in next 5 years, it will be completely different.
So yeah, I mean, with the technological advancement, we are going to see a lot more innovations also in the field of financial sector, as you mentioned. And in terms of economy scaling and the UPI, acceptance, I think it would be growing much more in days to come. So thank you, sir. With this, we come to the end of this session. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing such insightful knowledge on your industry. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really enjoyed the talk today.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure at our end.
Thank you.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.